take a walk with me. Stretch out this time and savor the moment. It's time for a red mage, blue mage extra turn, baby. Oh yeah. Hello, it is June 3rd, 2020. I am joined in this extra turn by a special guest, Evil DM Josh of Geekspective fame. Hello, Josh.
Hello there, Kenny. You can just call me Gold Mage.
Gold Mage. I'll call you Josh, I think.
Oh, man.
You were the Green Mage last time we did battle.
Yes.
Even though you built red-black.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it. I was just like, you know what? I've been playing a lot of dual color stuff, so I'm like, just go with gold.
Okay. You got to pick your guild. You got to pick your lane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you've been playing a lot of Arena lately, and you've been using a flying deck, right?
Yep. So after this was be coming out very shortly after my beating of Kenny, or Kenny beating me, I should say.
Yeah, get it right.
During that recording, I hadn't played for a long time, but over the past 7 to 8 weeks now, I've been playing a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena, and yeah, the deck that I got to Diamond with was a blue-white flying deck. Getting up there, going from copper to gold, I did a pure mono. I just took the pure mono blue deck that you get from starting, and I just modified a little bit. And then I was just like, fuck it. This Ikoria stuff has some good flyers in it. I'm just going to slap this stuff. Yeah, make it blue-white, pure flyer. Running a fair amount of M20s in there, but I got until September, October to worry about that.
Very true. So that leads us nicely into our topic and why we're taking this extra turn today. On Monday, June 1st, they came out with a banned and restricted announcement for standard and other formats, but standard's really the one that we care about here. So I'll just start by briefly reading this. Probably most of you listening know, but if you don't, we'll just read it. Standard, Agent of Treachery is banned. Fires of Invention is banned. They are suspended in Historic, which means they're banned. And, importantly, they didn't ban any companions, but they completely changed how companions work. So, previously, with companions, they're legendary creatures. Your starting deck has a restriction that's given by the card. So, for example, your deck only has even converted mana cost in it, or no card in your starting deck has more than one of the same mana symbol in its mana cost. And if you do that, you get your companion in your sideboard, and you can play it once per game from your sideboard. This proved to be extremely powerful, too powerful, clearly. They have decided to change the rule. Now the rule says, once per game, anytime you could cast a sorcery, you can pay 3 generic mana to put your companion from your sideboard into your hand. And so they're just taxed companions by 3 mana across the board, basically. This is very interesting, an interesting approach. They did announce they were going to change the rule. Most of what I heard, people were speculating either your starting hand, if you have a companion, is just one less, or you take a mulligan and get to scry if you have a companion. This is not an approach that I really heard from anywhere.
The only one I had heard about was the card disadvantage, well, pretty much getting rid of a card, and you only have 6.
Right, because the big intrinsic thing about companions is they just give you 1 extra card for free. And not just 1 extra card, 1 extra relevant card that you can build around. So, what was your reaction when you saw these announcements?
Fuck fires, bless. And I had actually, when I got into Diamond, I started running into a lot of Agent of Treachery. Is that what it is? Yeah.
The take control guy.
Yeah, a lot. Like up until then, a little bit, but as soon as I got into Diamond, there was a lot of Agent of Treachery, and I was like, "Fuck these decks."
Yeah.
Because it just like I see what's happening, and it's just a slow, just crunching you until it's done, kind of deal. So I was very happy. Because Fires is super strong too. I was really hoping they were going to get Wilderness of Reclamation as well, but we can talk about that later.
Right.
And for the companions, I forgot to mention, I do some drafting. I do drafting every other week, usually live on Geekspective's Twitch. I'll probably start doing that a little bit more often. and companions like Loris and Yorion and Obosh.
Obosh, for sure.
Those things could just really fuck you up in draft if you got the deck going. Even not really Kahira. And so sometimes you get Zinfas. And like that'd be really rough stuff. But in standard Luris, whenever I saw Luris deck, I'm just like, well, I'm probably fucked. Because you know what's going to happen. Garuda, you at least have some time. And same with Yorion. Some of the other ones you'd see a sprinkling about, right? But those three were the ones that you see the most.
And they're all just like ticking clocks because you see them at the beginning of the game, and it's like, well, I know what's coming on turn 3, or I know what's coming on turn 5 or 6 or whatever it is. And there's a sense of doom and foreboding in these play patterns. And that's very powerful and not especially fun. Yeah,
and I feel like Yorion got like a major nerf, I think, in the long run because of getting rid of Agent. Because a lot of times you would have agents being run with your Yorion.
Right.
Because you want to just do, and you bring in Charming Prince of Flicker and all that kind of stuff, and it just becomes a bad time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think from what people are talking about, they definitely feel that the more expensive mana companions have been affected less than the cheaper ones.
I 100% agree. Yep.
Because taking Luris so that it costs 3 extra mana is brutal compared to taking Garuda from 6 to 9 total mana is not nearly as big a deal. And you're still going to hit it on time,
Yeah, I would still run a Garuda easily, but all these other ones are questionable choices. The interesting thing, though, I saw online, I think it was either from Merchant or Nikolai Bolas. I think it was Nikolai Bolas. Was like, hey, you can't run these as your free card anymore. However, you can run them as just a card. And a fair amount of these are still pretty good as a card. Not a lot of them, but like Luris, easily you would just still run that kind of deck. And some of these other ones you just run as a card as well.
I think many of them, that's definitely true. I mean, that's true in draft as well. For draft, like the companions range from S++ incredible companions and also really good in your deck to some of them are like, if you can make it work as your companion, it's good, but it's just good in your deck. I mean, they pretty much all fall into that category. Just nuts.
Yeah, I was like, Lutri is just so fucked.
Yeah, I mean, so what's the total timeline of what happened? The spoilers came out for these cards, and immediately they're like, Lutri's banned in Commander.
Yeah.
But before the set even comes out. Set comes out, and like in a matter of a week or two, they have to ban Loris and Zerda from the older formats because you can't have a 3 mana creature that can buy back Black Lotuses and Moxen from your graveyard. That's pretty clearly unfair. And then a short while later, they had just changed all the rules for all the companions across the board. So kind of what I want to talk about now that I've gotten your reaction for Standard. My angle here, because I don't play Standard, I get all this kind of secondhand just from people I watch and listen to. The perspective I can offer is just like, I've been playing Magic consistently since M10 now. I had a break before that, but from M10 on, I've been playing consistently. And it's kind of a crazy, like, story. Like, when I first started playing Magic, it was right after Mirrodin, which was, like, one of the darkest times in Magic, as far as, like, overpowered stuff. Affinity, Skull Clamp, all that. Tons of cards got banned for the first time in a long time. Lots of people were leaving the game. They recover from that. Nothing gets banned from then until Jace and Stoneforge. So that's a long time. I forget how long that was, but years and years until they have to ban from Standard again. And then it was Jace and Stoneforge. And the thing that struck me about this ban and restrict announcement, June 1st, 2020, is the difference in tone in the way they announce them. So, like, when Jace and Stoneforge got banned, Aaron Forsyth, director of R&D, Is that his role?
I believe so. Yeah.
Big wig in the company. He came out, he wrote an article about the bannings, and it's like the tone is like hat in hand. We're so sorry. Here's why we had to do this. So I've got the article. This is from June 20th, 2011, Standard Bannings Explained. He opens by saying, I would have preferred to go my entire career as director of Magic R&D without ever having to ban a card in Standard. Sadly, that was not to be. Banning cards in the current Standard environment was a topic my coworkers and I wrestled with for months, but recent results have essentially forced our hand. So that's like the little opening paragraph. Then he announces what was banned, and he goes on to explain a little bit why are cards getting banned. He provides some numbers, and he says, we haven't seen cards dominate the field like this, possibly ever. Even in the heyday of Affinity, which I just mentioned, we weren't seeing anything like this level of homogeneity. When you realize that both cards, besides being dominant in Standard, are top tier in constructed formats of all sizes, up to and including Legacy, and even Vintage for Jace, it becomes harder and harder to argue that the cards are anything but flat out too powerful. Okay, so I want to go down a little bit and see towards the bottom now. We don't take banning lightly in any format, and we loathe doing it in Standard. Not only is such an act tantamount to the admission of grievous mistakes on our part, it hurts consumer confidence in our product. People spend a lot of time and money acquiring cards for their tournament decks, and it stings to have them taken away. Fortunately, this time the sting should be somewhat mitigated by the fact that the cards in question have significant uses in other constructed formats. So, and then after that, he has a huge section about how do these cards get through development? Like, how do we make this mistake? So
Right.
I won't read through all that. It is a very interesting story.
It's super interesting. Pretty much we're like, oh, we didn't test it again. It's like...
Exactly. We'll be talking, me and Amber will be talking about this in more detail in an episode that's probably going to come out in like a month or something.
Yeah.
But we'll be looking at an article that Josh, you actually sent to me, and it's just fascinating. And then look at this. This article is so funny to me in this context. He has like different like headers for these different paragraphs. And one of them says, the world is very different now. John F. Kennedy uttered that sentence in his inauguration speech in '61 regarding humanity's newfound scientific power to significantly alter the world for good or bad. Magic players have... Okay, but you see what I mean about the tone?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the announcements for... They announce that they're banned. And then they say, while Magic rules changes aren't normally a part of banned and restricted list updates, in this case, we're introducing a change to the companion mechanic that is motivated by game balance and metagame share across play environments. They announce what it is. They say at the bottom, it's rare that we use a rules change to address metagame balance, and this isn't something we have plans to do in the future. In this case, the issue wasn't with one individual card, but rather the companions as a group. We believe the solution is preferable to potentially needing to make multiple bans across different formats over time. And then they talk about the Fires ban, the Agent ban. Therefore, in order to allow for more comeback potential against Luca and Winota decks and to promote deck building diversity in Standard, Agent is banned. Like, there's no explanation. Well, there's explanation about why they're banning them, but there's no, there's no apology here. There's no admission of anything. It's just like, we are balancing the metagame.
Right. And I think one reason why they're like, no apology, because if you're looking from at least a customer's perspective, like my customer's perspective, mostly just playing digital, right? I haven't played paper for like 8 years. When they ban this stuff in Magic the Gathering Arena, they just give us wilds back.
Right.
Like, okay, right. I'll just and make my new cards.
Or, and even more so, with going with the digital thing, a rules change makes a lot of sense in a digital card game. It's like, oh, this card's too powerful? It costs a little bit more mana now.
Right.
But Magic is not just a digital game. Like, that's not really acceptable. Right. And I just don't, clearly a shift has taken place. Like, over the last year and a half, 2 years, 20 cards have been banned. And they were Aaron Forsyth was wringing his hands and rending his garments and gnashing his teeth about banning 2 cards for the first time in 5 years or whatever. And now it's just so par for the course. It feels really weird to me. I don't know how to feel about it, really.
Yeah, if I was playing paper, I would not feel great.
My biggest thing is so with Companion, I mean, they have playtesters, you know? They have ex-pro players playing Future League 3 years ahead of time. I just don't know, how could you have played with companions and not seen how dominant they are across the board. You know what I mean?
Right. Unless they changed a rule at some
the last
point.
second.
Yeah, and they didn't retest it to give that R&D time.
That's the only thing I can think of. I do understand, like, some things you won't catch. Like, there are certain synergies that you are just not going to see. Like, it happens, I feel like, every time they print a stupid card creature that comes into play and blinks, flickers something else. It always winds up comboing with something that they didn't anticipate, and they have to ban part of a 2-card combo.
Yeah.
But with these remind me of Oko in that it's just like they're just flat too powerful. And it did not take the world's long, and I know that it's them versus, millions of players.
Yeah.
Who are all communicating and recording stupid podcasts about their games. But it's just like with Oko especially, it's like you just must not have played with this card. Like, how could, like, it's just so pushed. Companions is the same thing. It's like obviously having an extra card in your opening hand is strong. I think you would really try to take advantage of that, and you would see very quickly, oh, this is just the best thing that you can be doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, but anyway, so that was a little bit of my rant, and just like how the tone has shifted. I think it's pretty wild. I would like them to get back to at least sharing more of the story of like, how did this happen? Because I'm losing. It's not like I'm losing. I guess I am losing consumer confidence, but I don't buy the cards. I'm just losing confidence in their ability to understand the cards that they're making. It just feels like they don't. Do you not know what is broken in this game?
Right.
That's the worrying thing to me.
Yeah, so one of the things, so I used to be, in between Paper and Arena, I used to play a fair amount of Hearthstone, and Hearthstone only publishes 100 some odd cards a set, and this past week I was like, holy shit, Magic puts out like 300 plus cards a set. There's so many combinatorials that can happen, and so I don't envy them.
Yeah. There's definitely like a complexity level where there's just not really hope that you will be able to catch all these things, but there are things that you can catch. Like, I guess it's partially confirmation bias, right? Because we don't get to see the cards that they nuked because they were too broken and that they did catch.
Right.
But it's their job to make a balanced set. Like,
yeah, damn it, you're making millions of dollars and proceeding to not pay out millions of dollars. Oh, that's a different topic.
Snap. Okay, I know you wanted to talk about before we go today where you think Standard will go, who are the big winners going forward.
Yeah, so biggest winner, Wilderness of Reclamation. Oh my god. So they got rid of 1 mana cheat, but they didn't get rid of the other mana cheat. And Wilderness of Reclamation. So
now everybody's just going to migrate from one to the other.
Yep. During the season reset this past 2 days, because one of the days I didn't play, I've been running into a shit ton of Wilderness Reclamation when I'm trying to get back up to Diamond, right?
Right.
And I'm just like, holy shit. Because you don't run mono green, you're going to run blue in there as well, and maybe another color, because then you can just be like, or I'm doing all this.
Right. You spend your mana on your turn, and then you still have counterspell up on their turn.
Right. Or removal or whatever.
Whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. And it's just ridiculous. And to counter Wilderness Reclamation, 3 fairy, as some people would say, Teferi, is going to be fucking rampant. And
which he already is.
Yeah. Now he's going to be even more so, because each opponent his passive, each opponent can cast spells only anytime they could cast a sorcery.
Right.
And so I'm probably going to make him and put him in my flyer deck.
Yeah.
Because he's blue-white, and he's only 3.
I mean, you're essentially, when you get to Fairy, I feel like you're buying a ticking time bomb of a card that will eventually turn into a wild card.
Yep. Exactly. And the thing is, the crazy thing, so I started looking at Teferi's right before this, and I was just like, holy shit. He just keeps on getting better and better. And he's not a he's not a mythic. He's just a rare.
That's the weird thing about him is, like, Dominaria came out, and Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, was printed there and was famously insanely busted. Never got banned, but he was like a real problem for the game. And then they go to War of the Spark and they print a cheaper, better version.
Yeah. Holy shit. So I'm definitely going to see a whole bunch of him. I don't usually run Planeswalkers, but I probably will be now.
Hey, welcome to the dark side, my friend.
Yeah. another one that is just annoying, and I feel like she's going to appear more, is just because it reduces player interaction, you could say, is Narset part or Veils. The past couple days I've seen more of her. Of course, take this all with a grain of salt because I'm only one data point, right? I'm only one person.
That's very true as far as the anecdotes go, but like just the talk that I hear, I think you are at the very least you are in line with player perceptions.
Mm-hmm. And
which
one
matters.
one I haven't seen a lot yet, but we'll probably see a fair amount, is besides cheating mana is ramping mana, and Nisa is just gonna start rocking house because people are going to want to get access to mana as fast as possible for certain archetypes, and she's just dominant. She'll just be so freaking dominant. I know it. And then there's the two that have been seeing a lot of play at higher tier with Agent, right? Is Winota and Luca, right? Mm-hmm. And I still think those two cards will be played. It's going to take a little time for people to figure out what they are going to cheat out instead.
Right. That's the thing. It's like it reminds me of Aetherworks Marvel, another ban card that let you cheat things into play. It's like eventually you have to ban the thing that is doing the cheating. Like. Right. I just think they tend to do this when there's an engine card and then the card that it's getting. It's like they want to ban the card that it's getting. It's like that's not the problem is cheating into play way too early. Yeah.
And Winota, you can in theory get like turn 3 or whatever. It's just like, all right, turn 3. All right, I'm going to start summoning whatever bullshit that's going to come about.
Right, exactly. It's like you can ban one 10 mana thing, and I'll play a 9 mana thing and still do great with it.
Right. So those are the things of note that I had where I'm just like, I already can feel this is shit that I'm going to run into. And like at lower ranks, you run into way more variability. Like,
sure.
If I look back at Hearthstone, there was lots of net decks, there was a lot of people using net decks, and there weren't very many, probably because of the smaller card base. But sure. With Magic, there's a huger card base. But as I got higher and higher rank, at least last season, and I'm probably going to be even more so this season, it's like you just start to get pretty much net decks. It's like this is the 8 to 12 decks that you'll run into, and I'm like over here saying I'm not running into those decks because that is boring.
Yeah, I agree. I think I wonder. I don't think that's like super possible to get around because I was the same way when I played Standard. Like I was playing Standard back in the day when like it was Jund leading into Callblade, so there were some very particular decks that were out there, and I was running a stupid Allies Warp World deck and a mono black vampire deck, and I agree with you. I don't have a lot of fun just playing the deck that everybody else is playing. But, if you want to grind and get to the top, at some point you have to say, what is the best thing that I could be doing? Yeah.
I'll just I don't know. I played a very non-standard deck and I got to Diamond, so I was just like, it can be done. It's just it's just by playing you get more exposure and start building those, those scenarios in your head of like, okay, this is what I need to do.
And then eventually, you upgrade, get a couple Teferis in your deck, and then, you're like, man, it'd be nice if I could have some mana up, maybe get some Wilderness Reclamations in there.
That's right, I'll run Tricolor.
Well, I just wanted to get our thoughts out there and get in public while the news is still relevant. So thanks for hopping on to talk with me, Josh.
No problem. Anytime, Kenny.
This is Red Mage Blue Mage. You can find us on Twitter at RedBlueMTG. You can find me on Twitter at Wolfbeer. Amber is not here at Rocket Orca. Josh, you can find at Evil DM Josh. You want to talk about Geekspective a little bit?
Yeah, and if you want to see other geeky stuff, we have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Geekspective. On there, I run my regular role-playing game where we're either playing Dungeon World or Godbound, and I do booster drafts of whatever's the newest. So Ikoria right now, which will be interesting with these changes. And you can find me on Twitter at EvilDMJosh, I think, as Kenny already said.
And we stream Red Mage Blue Mage on Geekspective as well every Tuesday, except when the world's on fire.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye-bye.